I can do everything, but the family come first. Go through challenges and difficult times because of your family. 10 years ago, I was in a lawsuit.
Sometimes you have to go through some of the most challenging
Yes.
periods of life just to see the other side.
What can you do to leverage that time?
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Wealthy Dentist Podcast. I'm your host, Ward Powell. And if you're a dentist looking to crack the code on how to grow your practice and dominate in this space, then stick around. You're in the right place. Every week, we're sitting down with some amazing dentists who are doing incredible things in their businesses. We're talking about everything from how they keep their teams loyal and dedicated to how they stay ahead of the game in this crazy, fast-changing industry. You'll hear about hacks like using virtual assistants to free up your time, strategies to make more sales with less effort, and even mind-blowing stories about patents and inventions that are changing the industry as we know it. And it's not just about growing your practice, it's also about finding out what works from a clinical perspective. Whether you're just starting or you're ready to scale to the next level, there's something here for you. So buckle up, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive in.
Well, I'd like to introduce a serial entrepreneur today. Her name is Dr. Emily Letran, and she's going to share with us her journey through a number of obviously hats that she has to change from time to time. And as a well-known speaker and author, help me welcome Dr. Emily. How you doing this afternoon?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me on the platform. Thank you for creating this platform to share insights and stories and thoughts to all of our colleagues. And I'm super excited to be on here.
Oh, and so am I. I mean, we have so much to talk about. I just like to start off by asking what got you involved with the dental community and why, how did all of that start? Where did that come from?
Yes, so I'm originally from Vietnam. I was one of the boat people. I came to this country, to the US, when I was 13. And I was very blessed, got help from the government, got grants, got scholarship. And I went into dentistry by process of elimination way back when in the late 80s. I didn't want to be a doctor. I didn't want to wear a beeper. This is how little we know. Now we attach to the cell phone. But
Right.
anyway, back then I said, hey, I don't want people to be able to track me down and tell me to come in. And I talked to a pharmacist and he told me he counted pills. So by process of elimination, my friend said, why don't you become a dentist? So I'll be real honest. I tell people this is the uninspiring story of how I decided to become a dentist. But
Mhm.
once I get into school and learning the science and the technology and the artistry, what I really enjoy most is the relationship,
Okay.
right? I I did not know that you're going to create families, right? Your family with your staff, your business family, your family with your patients. I've had patients who've been with me for 25 years, going on 26 years rather, and it's such a gift, it's such a blessing that I don't think most profession can't say that,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And when we reflect and when we think about that, how we are in dentistry, um, I think that's where I really appreciate being in the industry, and the business itself provides so many more opportunities beyond the business. And I know your podcast is The Wealthy Dentist. I mean, that wealth really comes from dentistry. And I want to remind people to remember where it come from. Of course, you can create your golden goose in so many ways, but that money actually first come from dentistry.
Mm. Oh, wow. So you kind of got enamored to or connected to dentistry by way of your travel from one country to America, and you feel that basically your experience through schooling, having taken advantage of some of the opportunities, you just grabbed it. And I totally understand this whole idea of running around with a beeper, but like you said, we have cell phones now, so what's the difference, right? So wow, so once you really got involved and you're still practicing?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
actually practice in two offices with my daughter, who just
Oh,
became a dentist
oh,
in
congrats.
2023.
Yes, yes. So tell me about your family now. You really quickly. I mean, you spoke about your daughter. I know you have three children, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so
Yeah. Well, because when I first came to the US, I came with my aunt.
mm,
Back then, the Vietnamese were escaping the country, on boats, and then we ended up in refugee camp and we came here. So we came as an extended family. I had my aunt here, my older brother, and then later on my other brother came, and then I got some cousins. So the value of family has always been, you know, the biggest, that's the main value in my life. So when I finish school, got married, have children, that's my main focus, right? I
hmm
can do everything, but the family come first. I can't tell you, uh back in the days when the kids were small, every September I would walk into the office with three different schedule, and then my staff have to change my schedule to fit the school schedule. Right?
mm,
Here's a minimum day. Here's a day that you have to go watch your kids sing. Here's a day that they have to go and do I don't know what, right? And I used to work from 9 to 2, and then I take off 2 hours to go pick up my kids.
mm.
When they were older, they went to work with me. When they were younger, they went to the babysitter. And then I work for 2 more hours, and then I go pick them up. And then I drop them off in the morning. So for me, family is if family value is one of your value, it keep you going, right? Because you're never gonna give up on your family, right? People may say, okay, I don't like this job anymore, I'm hopping to another one. um, but you're not gonna say, hey, I don't like this family anymore, I'm leaving, right? So as long as you have family as your foundation, and that's what's most important to you, it keeps you going. You go through challenges and difficult times because of your family. And so that's how I raised my family. Now I got three little professionals. My daughter is a dentist. My son is a PharmD. The third one, who's really is the smartest one, he didn't want to go into healthcare. He decided he's going to be a different kind of doctor. So he's going after a PhD at Yale. He's going to start in a couple months. And so for me, it's always about education. It's always about being a lifelong student, and it's always about family.
Impressive. Done really well with your children. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So your husband, is he where does he fall within this?
Well, he was part of the journey until a couple of years ago.
Okay, hey, I totally
Yeah,
understand.
but and the reason I didn't mention him really was the in my business growth. He has a job, so he wakes up in the morning, drive to work, and then he comes back in the evening. And he was a fairly good father figure for the beginning of the kid's life. And then he kind of faded away, and there's some other things. But anyway, and I tell you right now, about 10 years ago, I was in a lawsuit. It wasn't a business lawsuit. It kind of caused by my staff. But of course, when you're the business owner, you're responsible for everything. So it was a long 5 years in this lawsuit. And I won at the end. I won, didn't win a lot of money, but definitely won to because it was a lawsuit that attacked my integrity.
Yes. Mhm.
And in that process, my husband was kind of absent. And I think people ask me, so what's the best what's the best thing that come out of that lawsuit? And I said, I could really see my spouse for who he
Ooh,
who he was. So
right.
I really think it was God's way of telling me to reevaluate. I
Yes.
don't think I would have reevaluated if
Had
that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And you know, I think we all have our life sort of in stages, right? You
Yes.
go from this stage to the next
Yeah.
stage to the next stage, and yeah. So I was divorced about two 2 years about 2 years ago.
Yes.
Uh, I'm perfectly fine,
Yes.
right? Obviously, there's always a couple of millions walking away,
Yeah.
but what I find is, during that lawsuit, um, one day, I think about 3 years in, I said, just one day, I just took out a piece of paper and I wrote down, I'm done with this relationship.
Mm.
And it was an instant like relief. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm dealing with this lawsuit. I don't need to deal with how difficult he makes this to be, because it was a lot of the blame game, right? Well, you did this, that's why we ended up in this. And it was really, sometimes that's what happened to business. I'm sure, you're in business for a long time.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
I just didn't expect a 5-year journey dealing with really just attorneys tossing papers away around. We could have been done in 12 months, given
Well,
the
that's
outcome,
right. Yeah.
right? Yeah. So for me, that was relief. I made that decision. I was waiting until my youngest son turned 18, because I'm sure that people may have shared with you, if you, for me, like I said at the beginning, since a family is so important, I wasn't going to go into a custody battle,
Right.
because that would be my Achilles heel. Like, yeah, when it comes to the kids, I would give anything for the kids. So I
Awesome.
toughed it out for a couple more years after the lawsuit, and then I was waiting for my son to turn 18. And then COVID hit, so everybody was stuck at home, so I waited a little bit longer. And I remember the year before he turned 18, the youngest, I told the kids that, well, mommy's going to get a divorce, right? And the following year, when I was supposed to do it, that's when COVID hit. And the kids actually asked me, weren't you supposed to get a divorce now? Because you said, and I'm like, hey, it's going to have to be on my own timeline. But yeah, I waited for everybody to move out of the house because I'm in California. So, during COVID, California was shut down quite a bit. So my son, even though he turned 18, he couldn't move into UCLA. It was kind of stay at home. And then after
Right.
that, it was a part-time thing. And I'm blessed that I think with all my study and my training, I really understood myself,
Mm.
right? I knew that I cannot deal with custody and things like that, because that's what's more important to me, and that's what he would most probably be leveraging that against me. So waiting a little bit longer, I did strategize around the business. I know I'm going to lose, a large chunk of it, but I grew, and I have my peace of mind, and everybody come out not really hurt.
Yeah.
The hurt was the financial part, but other than that, I was ready for that change.
That's awesome. That is an awesome story. So I know you probably put a book out there on that.
I have several books. I have not written that part yet. I am.
Okay. All right. I know
I.
it's coming then.
It is coming. I'm finishing up a new book.
Yeah.
It is called The Dentist Manifesto,
Yes.
and I will address that part where we felt, you know, we're supposed to stay in a relationship. We're supposed to keep the staff. We're supposed to do whatever we think that we were told, or we thought that was expected of us, and no, we can just
Sometimes it's
live.
not in the cards. It's not in the
Yeah, yeah,
cards.
we just think that that's what's expected of us, and it's not. And actually, that's going to be the topic of my talk. I'm going to Germany in a couple of days to speak at an event called Dentista, which is the oldest organization for women dentists in Germany. And it
Awesome.
was funny because the organizer go, "What do you want to talk about?" And I'm thinking, the same topic: how to keep a patient for 26 years, how to be an ass kicker in your own economy, that kind of thing. And she go, "Why don't you talk about the book that you wrote, the topic that you mentioned, So it's going to be the modern woman to have it all without sacrifice. That's going to be the topic of my talk.
I love it. You know, I tell you, sometimes you have to go through what may be, or seemingly at that particular time, some of the most challenging
Yes,
periods of life just to see the other side, the light on the other side. And,
yes.
you know, I applaud you for your ability to be resilient and what you've done with your children and being able to get them back and forth to school and work at the same time. And you had such a wonderful team, obviously, that helped you through some of that, that gave you, hey, you know, you got this schedule, that schedule, this schedule. Oh my God, you got schedules coming from everywhere. You got children screaming.
Well, and and I think that's what make me unique as a coach, right?
Yeah,
Because I've been through some of these experiences. I may not have been very public about it,
yeah.
but the thing is, when somebody come to me and say, I got this situation, right? I can almost say, I know how to handle that. You
Okay. All
know,
right.
or I, yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
yeah, or
right.
I have that resource, or I've been through this, and I get you, right? The very thing is, I get what where you're at because I've been through that too. Because I can't tell you, there's a fair number of times where a dentist would call me and say, hey, I'm getting audited by this, or I'm dealing with this lawsuit, and I'll just be yeah, I actually know who you should talk to. And I actually know that this will pass,
Hmm.
and but and I will warn them, this will wear you out, but not the money part, it's the personal part,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's easy to go past it and say, okay, I have resilience. It was I was taking it day by day,
Yes.
day by
Yeah.
day for 5 years, right? You wake up
Okay.
and you go, okay, what's going to happen today? I
Right.
just going to
And
I just
go
want to
through.
get through today. And then
Right.
the next day, I just want to get
Yes.
through this day.
Totally
And
understand.
yes,
Totally understand. So I think that was the best segue to move into, the exceptional leverage coaching, action to win. I mean, like, let's talk about your business there, because I know you have other businesses, and we can talk about that too if we wind up having time. But tell me about your coaching uh, work.
yes. So, one of my well, I mentioned my story a little bit, coming here as a refugee and going through challenges, and then getting into school, and then going through lawsuit and all that. So one of my pet peeve, and it might not be correct, okay, is people complaining, right? And and I'm sitting there going, stop complaining, right? You gotta figure things out, get the help. And because back in the days when I was getting into my business, there wasn't a lot of help out there. I read a lot of books. I subscribed to a lot of newsletters, right? Where there's segments of help and what people teach you. And then they start having events, and I found, coaching, consulting. And what I learned is the fastest way to grow is to have a mentor or a coach,
Yes.
right? And faster when you pay them.
Right?
Because now that become their business, right?
Hmm.
Rather than, oh, when you have time, can I ask you a question? Now you got a dedicated time, you got a certain amount of investment that you put in there, and you expect answer, you expect ROI.
Yes.
And so currently I'm working with Dan Kennedy. He is the founder of Magnetic Marketing.
Yes.
He's a business guru,
I'm
right?
very familiar with Dan Kennedy.
Yes, yes. So I love him because you get your 25 minutes with him, and you're just, you know,
That's
anything you
awesome.
ask, he got that razor edge answer, straight to the point.
Yeah.
Um, and since 2012, I've always had a coach or a mentor. So it's more than a decade. And
Wow.
most of them are not in dentistry.
Mm.
Why? Because, you know, the dentistry part, the clinical part, it will come to you. You will realize what you do best and what you don't do real well. And you can just focus on that. But it's the business mindset, it's the business strategy that most of us don't, we we haven't been taught in school. And then the personal growth, which is a big part of it. You know, how you make a decision is really based on how you think.
Yes.
And it may not be just from one book, from one podcast, right? If you can find somebody who's laser focused, who has done what you've done, who know your journey, you just get that answer much faster.
Mhm.
So in 2015 is when I decided, I want to pass on some of this knowledge. I want to help people. Obviously, I want to be compensated for that because it is a separate business. So I started doing coaching consulting since 2015. And what came with that was speaking. So then I reluctantly became a speaker.
Yeah.
And I was told that I'm actually pretty good at it
Yeah.
because I just speak from my heart and I speak the truth,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh, when I'm speaking and I'm sharing experiences, it would be those real experiences like what I
Yes.
just shared with you,
Yeah.
where people can see that it's coming through.
Yes.
And yeah, so that's part of my business. I do coaching call virtually, um, in the morning, sometime in the afternoon, sometime in the evening. I have a lot of clients who are not in California, so I'm in Pacific Standard Time. So
Mhm.
I could be talking to somebody at 7 a.m., right? And it's already 9 or 10 a.m. their time.
Mhm.
People ask me, how do you find the time? Well, it's exactly how I found the time when I was driving around picking up my kids. Right? You go by that schedule. This is the schedule when I'm free, so I can
Right.
talk to you at this time.
Yeah.
And for me, honestly, it's not work. It's
Yeah.
because it's sharing knowledge.
Yes.
Um, I joke with my friends like, oh, if it's a consulting call about dentistry, I could do it in my bed, right? Because because people will be asking, how do I get a new patient? Okay, let me tell you the 5 ways, right? How do I deal with this difficult staff? I can tell them that too, and I don't have to think about it because it's already part of my life,
Yes.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
and so that's that part. I'm very blessed because of me being out there. People know me as a speaker. I've recently, like I shared with you, I recently got invited to come into a group that we do um, real estate investment, real estate equity investment with $1 billion brand. Can't say the name right now because they haven't even announced it. But I'm bringing in people that want to invest in the brands, and somebody on a call saying, I have a my client have 100 million and we need to put it somewhere, right? These are numbers that we are not used to, right?
Yeah.
As dentists
Yeah.
in general, right? Obviously, I mean me now, I'm not used to those kind of numbers. But what I realize is everything I've done is sort of prepare me for this,
Awesome.
right?
That's good.
It's the personal skills, it's the understanding, it's the
Hmm.
ambition,
Hmm.
it's the vision. When I'm talking to my colleague and say, hey, maybe you want to look into this, to me, it's almost similar to investing in a dental office, right? In a dental office, you don't just buy the space. Of course, you could buy the space with the equipment, everything, but what you're investing in is actually the equity. What is the cash flow going to be? And this is a similar kind of investment. It's related to real estate, but it is with a brand. So I think all the training has helped me see things a particular way and help me articulate it a particular way, and just bringing opportunities to people, because at the end of the day, I think, I know this podcast about the wealthy dentist, right? I think wealth is defined in different ways
Hmm.
to different people. Could be money in the bank, could be a lot of real estate. Sometimes it could be just peace.
Yes.
You have that peace that, what, I've done everything I could to, I know I can take care of my family, I can take care of myself, I can be, a useful part in the community. um I may feel that I'm the most wealthy person just because I don't have all of that worries
Yeah.
to that take over my life.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So, so tell us about your books. Give us one or two nuggets that got you inspired to one. I know you talk, you know, dentist is some of the subject matter, but then there are other areas that you talk about. Let's talk about some of the dentists. What has been your, as a dentist, what has been your some of your hardest challenges outside of the lawsuit that you had to deal with, either as a dentist or as a leader of in the office?
I think, excuse me, most challenges come for with being a business owner.
Okay.
And one of my favorite topic to talk about
Mhm.
is investment. And so everybody go, oh, you're talking about going and doing, take your money and go put in stocks or whatever.
Yeah.
No, my investment talk has nothing to do with that. The investment, and I talk about this on Dr. Howard Farran podcast
Okay.
also. Yeah. The investment here is investing in yourself, right? That's the very first thing. You make sure that you are the most knowledgeable person that you could be
Yes.
in your capacity, right?
Yes.
If you are not, so let's say I want to go invest in real estate, right? Commercial real estate. I'm I'm not going to be the one with the most knowledge. Well, then I need to go get somebody who have that knowledge who help me,
Yes.
right? Or I need to learn as much as I can, or it's a combination of both.
Yes.
So the first thing is to invest in yourself, to make sure that you're well equipped, that you have the knowledge, that you have the capacity.
Mhm.
Then it's investing in your team.
Okay.
A lot of doctors uh, and people talk about leadership skill. I actually don't like that word very much. For me, it's it's about the whole team, right? You're part of the team. I know you're the team leader, and then there's a team leader of certain teams or whatever, but you have to think of it as a whole team. The concept of the weakest link, right? If you get
Mhm.
everybody on the same page,
Yes.
doing as best as they can, then you don't have to worry about that weakest link.
Hmm.
And the only way to grow your team is to invest in them. And what I mean by that is to drag them to all these courses and making sure that they learn. There are so many people that I know, so many doctors, dentists, they go to a seminar and they're the only person there.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, how are you going to go back and repeat all of this to your team?
No way.
Right? It's not possible. And people say, oh yeah, we have a team meeting and we all read the same book. It's still not the same. It's a particular dynamic when you are in the same room and you hear the information and then you all look at each other and go, are we doing this? Or I don't think we're doing this very well. Like when you hear it all at the same time, so investing in your team is another one. Uh, I'm so frustrated that a lot of dentists don't own their own building.
Mm.
And yes, and they have the money, go buy stocks or whatever, commercial, but then they don't even own their own building. And I don't get that, right? Everybody know you should own your house and not rent. Why don't you take that idea to your dental office? Um, I I recently moved about an hour away, so I bought two startup practices, and they in the strip mall. And about 4 months in, I'm telling the broker, okay, now we need to move. There's a building close by, and then we were trying to do that deal. It didn't quite happen yet, but before that, I own my own buildings, right? So I'm familiar with building things from the ground up because we bought the building, we gutted it, and we went through the whole process. Done that 3, 4 times. Um, so I know that I have that understanding. I have that knowledge. And before I bought one of my building, I was paying $10,000 in rent every month. And I was in that location, I want to say it was 9 years. So you take 10,000 times 12 times nine,
Right.
right? That money you could use to go buy anything. Now, in my defense, for that particular city, it took me that long to find a building. We couldn't find a building with the parking requirement for a healthcare professional. There were a lot of buildings, but so many thousand square foot, it only has so many parking spaces that I couldn't buy. So I got stuck renting, whereas in the other city, I was able to buy a building, within 2 years of buying the dental office. So I want people to look at things a different way. And this is where the coaching and the consulting come in, is to shift your perspective,
Mhm.
right? Instead of being in that space and paying that rent, start looking for a building. If the building is not for sale, just ask them. If the price is right, they probably will sell it to you. I learned this from attending a real estate real estate conference. So, having the all of these things, all of these ideas about investment, that really is not really the traditional way, right? Or the other thing is to invest in other businesses. Like if you have one dental office and you know how to run it well, yes, then you might want to buy another dental office. And with the idea that you're not going to be the one running it, you got to create the team to run it. Then you can have multiple offices and multiple streams of income. So that's my idea of investment. That's one of the things that I like to talk to people about. I don't call the topic investment, right? Because I can share all of these ideas in different segments of my presentation. But that's one of the things that I like to get all of my friends, all of my colleagues to understand, to see things the same way. Because I think once you see it like that, you just make different decisions when you have the money.
Mhm. I wonder, can we roll back just a little bit because now you got me thinking about some other stuff. So, exceptional leverage coaching. Um, when you bring in a new client, are you thinking about a set of ideas before you speak to them? Are they filling out some questionnaire to let you know where they are? So then when you do have this conversation with them, you can kind of like, help them along the way. How is that? How do you approach your coaching clients?
Yes, so the very first thing is I invite them to go to coachroi.com. So it has a video of me talking about the challenges that a dentist go through. And then there's a little questionnaire, and I ask them, what's your number one challenge, right? So yes, I do want to learn a little bit about them. And then when we get on the call, like a discovery call, I will solve that problem for them. And what I mean is, I will give them the answer, and I
Mm,
will tell them how long it's going to take for you to do this, right? Or what would it take for you to do this? So I'll give you an example. If somebody say, uh, I can't find staff, that's my problem, right? So the one of the way to deal with that is to cross train whoever you have, right? You already have that staff in the office. Maybe you can cross train them. Maybe you can automate certain things. I was talking to a doctor the other day, and she said, "Well, my one staff is going on maternity leave," and I told her consider using a system automation, right? Where the patient call and the call will be automatically recorded. Like those kind of things. Of course, it's best to have somebody answer the phone, but if you don't, then at least have something where
mhm,
you can capture the lead or capture the information and you can follow them up.
mhm,
Uh, these are just little things, right? But on that discovery call, I will give them the answer to whatever the challenge is, and then I will invite them to work with me. So I
mhm.
have I have one-on-one coaching where I would talk to the client every week,
Oh,
um, and the way that I do that is one is really business, one call is business, one call is personal growth, and then there are two follow-up calls. If the client have a whole list. These are all the challenges that I need help with. We can tackle those, one or two a month. If they don't really have any particular idea, just meaning they may say, okay, I'm stuck at 800,000. How do I go to pass 1 million, right? Then I will design the different steps will get to that. So, for example, if they say, I'm stuck at this level and I already booked out, I don't know, 2 months or whatever it is, and it's just me, and you know, some of the or suggestion could be, add a specialist who's going to come in and do whatever you don't do anyway, right? Because you have the chair time. Like I said earlier, cross train your staff so they can do multiple things, um, including selling, right? Which all the dentists hate to say. But If your dental assistant can talk to a patient and tell them they should do whitening and you didn't even say anything, you walk into the room and the patient want to whiten the teeth, I would give a bonus to that assistant,
Mm,
right? Because I didn't, I mean, pretty much everybody want their teeth whitened for whatever reason. But if that could be a general conversation that the staff have with the patient, how many more whitening would you sell? And then they grind their teeth and the teeth are still crooked. So now you just have white crooked teeth. Now you can talk about aligners or braces. So my point is to leverage, right? Which is the name exceptional leverage, which by the way was designed by my mentor, Sharon Lecter.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
she's a co-author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. That she's one of the first mentor that I have.
Oh, wow.
Um, but leveraging meaning, okay, you already the patient is already in the chair, the assistant is already standing there. What can you do to leverage that time,
Hmm.
right? I didn't say you have to pay for Facebook ads. I didn't say you have to, buy certain things, buy a scanner, whatever. I didn't say that. I'm just saying have the staff have the conversation with the patient. And I recently started working with this one company out in Australia, and they have this little app. In 30 seconds, you can show the after. Like this is the before with a full mouth smile, smiling face. 30 seconds later, show the patient a different smile. It works best if the patient have crooked teeth or missing teeth, right? All of a sudden, they see that, oh, I can have a better smile. Now the conversation can get started. So a lot of this is something that, when I'm talking to a client and they say, okay, I want more new patients, my first instinct is, are you even maximizing the patients that you already have, right? And 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 I think you probably know this, like my daughter, brand new dentist, right? She sees cavities and she may not see all the wisdom teeth because she's not even paying attention. If you have an oral surgeon in house, you just see all the wisdom teeth. If you have a periodontist in house, you see all the crown lengthenings. Like, if I'm not going to struggle trying to get this crown very deep under the gum, I'm sending the patient to a periodontist for crown lengthening, or I'm going to be doing the crown lengthening, whatever it is. But the more educated you are, the more intentional you are, the
Hmm.
more you see things, right?
Hmm.
And it's not about looking for things. It's just you're very intentional. You say, I'm gonna make sure I look at every single tooth, every single aspect, give this patient the best option, the most comprehensive way, to improve their smile, and then it's up to them. And
I
then when it
love
comes to that, you have a company that do financing.
it.
So
Hmm.
really, when you can't monetize the patient, it's because the patient actually have no money,
Hmm.
which you already try. You already give them all the tools, you give all the presentation, you give them all the options. But if they don't have the money, the next time they go out and all of a sudden they get a couple $1,000 gig, whatever it is, or a gift, guess who they're gonna think about?
Yes,
You.
absolutely. Yeah.
You, right? They're gonna think, okay, I remember I need to really do whatever it is for my smile.
Hmm.
So make sure that everyone on the team is speaking the same conversation and make sure the staff understand that this is for the patient, the best thing for the patient. So they don't think, oh, here you go, Dr. Emily is gonna tell us to sell one more thing and make more money or whatever it is, because money is a part of that, but that's not the goal, right? The goal is to make sure the patient leave the office thinking, wow, they were nice to me. They explained everything to me. I didn't know that I could have a better smile or whatever it is.
Right.
And then they remember you.
Yeah. Yeah, I like your approach because, I mean, like you said, first of all, invest in yourself. And then if you have an assistant or someone that's seeing a client and they're saying what they need to say that's going to benefit the client, that's one thing that's going to help lift the organization,
Mhm.
the office. And then this whole idea of you seeing technology that's going to attach
Mhm.
the emotional component to
Yes.
the client. Oh,
Yes.
you could put this thing in my whatever, however you do it, and you could show them crooked teeth straightened, that's an emotional attachment. So
Hmm.
this device is going to help me help my client. So you bringing all of these different modalities into educating, if you will,
Hmm.
the client so that they can make a realistic decision, and
Yeah, and actually it's just the phone. It's
oh
it's an app on the phone, and all you're doing is you're taking a photo of
yeah,
the person.
yeah,
But it has to be a full face photo because we want to give them like this,
yeah,
the whole smile.
yeah,
And the thing is, and again, it go back to how you think,
yeah.
right? Some some people are following ready, aim, fire, right? I think that's what it is. Ready, aim, fire. And you're like, fire. you know and the way I work is if I'm listening to an expert, like I still remember years ago, Dr. Howard Farran. He's my hero. He's on stage speaking to a lot of people, and he say, every one of you need to get the Velscope so you can screen oral cancer and save your patient's life.
Hmm.
Right? I mean, how much more convincing do you need? You want
Right,
to save a patient's life.
right.
This is to screen for oral cancer. I remember as soon as it was done, there was a break. I went right down there and ordered this thing,
What you want?
right? Which was a couple $1,000s. The whole point, though, is I know the majority of people in that room didn't do that, right? Now, if you were driven, if your value is, I'm going to do my best job to serve the patients, any tool that come out that will actually help you do that, I think you have an obligation to look into it.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
That's just me, and I'm the I'm one of the most tech challenged person. I can tell you that. But now I got my daughter. She's 28 years old, right? I can throw her all the technology.
All
Yeah,
over,
you
right?
figure it out. You figure it out. Again, the whole point is to get to give the patient the best service. I may not know how to use everything,
Hmm.
but my team does,
Yes.
right? And then we got some assistant who are younger. Well, they get right in there and they catch on to all the computer stuff.
Yes.
I don't have to be able to know all that. So a
Yes.
lot of doctors, what they do is they first ask, "Can I do this?" Right? The question should be, "Can my staff do this? Can my younger associate do this?"
Mm-hmm.
Right? Instead of you, because when you ask
Right.
you and you're not the one, you're just never gonna do that. And
Yeah.
then follow the right expert. Everybody is an expert online. Everybody's claiming everything, right? They know how to do this, they know how to do that. I think if you are following the true leader and the true leader make a recommendation, then yeah, then just jump. You don't need to do due diligence per se on the person who invented the particular technology, and that technology has been used for a long time. The other thing I say is, hey, if school's using it, it got to be good because the school is going to do all the due diligence,
Mm-hmm.
right? So instead of putting that burden on yourself to try to get everything right, just look at the resources. Who's using it? Who's recommending it? Is this
Mm-hmm.
something that can help me grow?
Absolutely.
um, yeah, Dr. Farhan said, is it going to help me faster,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And do a better job.
Mm-hmm.
So it has nothing to do with money, right? But if you look at a technology or a process, if this is going to help me do it faster and better, then maybe invest in that. Same thing for a consultant or a coach. This person is going to help me get to my goal faster and help me do it in a better way because I don't have to figure it out myself and waste my time. I think it's a no-brainer investment.
Yeah. Right. Right. Because time is the currency. You know.
Yes, yes, yes. And the other thing I would add is relationship is the currency,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you say, okay, I really want to buy this, but I don't know where to start, and let's say if I know certain companies, maybe because they have sponsor my speaking engagement, and I can talk to them and I can tell them, hey, I got this person, she's looking for whatever, and I know you have that. Give her the best deal. That doesn't cost you anything if you're talking to the right person or the person who can make you the proper introduction, right? And I think that's how people should think about it.
Yeah.
See, the weird thing is I know people in normal conversation, right? You you may go to a restaurant, you ask for recommendation, right? But then you don't see a coach or a consultant as the person who can make that recommendation for you to help you get to what you want.
Mhm.
People do it for this, but they don't do this for that.
Mhm.
And this part over here, your business is the more important one. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, now you shared a really nice little device, little app that help people um, determine whether or not they need to repair their teeth or not. Is there any other kind of technology out there that you think that's going to help um, move the ideas forward for dentistry now and in the future?
Well, yeah, one of the very common one, they've been around for a long time. One of the companies I don't work exactly with them. I use another company. I go through Dexis, which has a uh, similar system, which is it's giving you the diagnosis. Well, not the diagnosis, but it points out the defect, whether it's cavities or gum problem, in the X-ray. And I know, I talk to colleagues and they're resistant to that because it's AI, assisted, and they think they're better than AI. And I'm telling them, I still remember this. Let me tell you, years ago, like 1998, I had an associate, and I still remember to this day. It's about 4 p.m. and she's supposed to do an exam, and she came over to me and she said, "I'm really tired. I can't do this exam." And it's one of those where you look and the patient probably need everything. They have broken teeth, they have missing teeth, they have big cavity, all of that. And I totally understood that because to do that exam, it will probably take you a few minutes to just read the x-ray, right? And when you're tired, you're just not as sharp as at 9 a.m.
Right,
Well, this tool is AI. It's not going to get tired. So if you
right,
think about it, if you have you read your x-ray and it's pointing out 30 things, right? You still do your own diagnosis, but then you look back at all of these little boxes that is pointing out and just to verify. And my intention when I use a system like that is number one, because my daughter's a new grad, right? She probably won't see everything. And this is going to point out some of the things. And she may or may not agree with it, or she may not even know, right? But these are things that I think people, going back to investment, I think people need to invest in these things to make life easier on themselves. And it's a better service than the patient. And really, one of the system, their unique selling position is as a second opinion,
mm,
right? So if the patient start going, well, my last dentist didn't say that I have 5 cavities, you can just pull it up and say, well, you know what? This is an AI technology, and it's pointing out these areas that I can see, but I can also point it out to you. So anytime you can build a rapport with the patient, first of all, the patient is impressed that you're into technology,
yeah,
which is almost expected nowadays. And
right,
then secondly, if they can see what you see and it's pointed out by technology, I think you build your rapport faster.
hmm,
So for me, it's all about that. It's not about, for me, it's not about, you should have a big office and with all of these expensive chairs and, go buy this machine, this laser for, I don't know. I don't have one yet, a laser, but let's say $100,000. I just want to have a bunch of patients who are coming in who want treatment. I want a group of staff who are having fun because I've taken them on trips when we reach a particular goal. Um, I want patient to come in and feel comfortable and trust you before you go and buy something expensive. This little app that I was talking to you about, um, and I can share that link with you.
yeah,
It's free. Okay, it's so
wow,
expensive. It's free. If you want additional guidance because it does 3D 3D treatment plan and aligners, there's an investment of I think less than $100, right? This is where I'm talking about the investment that would make a difference. The AI um, diagnosis with X-ray, couple $100.
Wow.
We're talking about the little hinge that swing big doors,
Right,
right?
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
this is what I'm looking for, and I'm
That's
trying to talk.
awesome.
I'm
I
telling
love
people,
it.
I think you should use this. Why? Well, because if you use this little app, your receptionist can take a picture. It's taking a picture. You should tell the patient, I can take a picture and show you your new smile. Take a picture, show it to the patient. Patient get excited. Okay, patient sit in the chair. You can then take your X-rays and everything. You don't need to buy a scanner that is, I don't know, anywhere from 15 to $30,000, because when you use a scanner, the patient already have to sit in the chair, and that's part of the exam. I'm talking about this pre-exam, or
Mm,
patient just come in for a checkup,
mhm.
right? You haven't seen them for 6 months. You can take the photo, the receptionist. This is where I think I would rather the receptionist take a picture and talk to the patient. And okay, so we miss a phone call coming in. Well, that phone call you recorded, you can go back.
Right.
This is where you make a decision. Where do I focus the time?
Yes.
And with all my staff, the focus is always the patient who's in front of you,
Mm,
right? That person have the priority. If you're on the phone and if you can cut the conversation, tell them you're going to call back so you can look at the person in front of you and take care of that person. That's more important.
I love it. I love it. Wow, you're so hands-on. And the thing of it all is like, I mean, like you said, it's all a team effort. I can remember you saying earlier too that, when we go to a conference and you're going alone, I mean, how much of that are you going to remember? Not one maybe one or two. Because for me, when I go to a conference, I want two great nuggets because I know all of this other stuff. I'll just load myself up with all of this information and don't use not one piece of it, right?
Hmm.
But if I
Yes.
bring in a team, okay, you handle this part, okay, you handle that part, and I'll handle this. We go in as a team with a strategy, and we leave with six nuggets instead of two.
Yeah, and I want to give credit to these two doctors, Dr. Richard Maddow and Dr. Okay, I'm blanking out his name, David Maddow. David Maddow and Richard Maddow, they used to do a seminar called the best seminar ever
Okay.
for 20 years.
Mm,
And I will tell you, every single time I go, it's a yearly thing. And I go with my staff. Every single time I go, I buy something. Why? Because they're very practical. They're very down to earth. They
yeah.
used to have the Richard report, that sarcastic and whatever, right? Would fit me really well, that I'm reading every month. But what happened is all the speakers that they have there, obviously they already vetted the speaker, and everything that they give are nuggets. So if the speaker, I know the well-known clinician, and they recommend tool or whatever program A, that's the one I'm going to invest in. I mean, I even do charity based on the speaker that they have,
Mm,
right? So also look at that. Look at who you're following, what they doing, they're successful, what they sharing. And this is what I mean by when you're investing like that, the ROI is just multiple, right? I mean, for we were going to the seminar for more than 10 years, because when I first started, they already have been doing the seminar, but it's every year. The whole staff have to come. It was in Vegas. I'm in Southern California. I would not hire. I would rent a van for them. They can go on their own. They make a stop at the outlet, right? Team building, right?
right.
So they can do their own shopping. They get there, they go to the seminar, we all go to dinner together, we go to a show together, and we learn as a whole team,
Mm,
right? And I want to give credit to those two doctors, because those are the people similar to me, that they have that heart to serve, and they want people to grow. So here's a conference, here are the seminars, here are the resources. Please go get the resources, because this is how you grow fast,
incredible.
right? Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Wow. See, I told you we've already done an hour. Um, so, okay. So I'm probably gonna have to bring you back because this is just so full of it's so fruitful. And what I want to do now is ask you whatever we didn't, and I know there's many that we didn't talk things that we didn't cover, but what is it that you would like to say to the audience before we close?
Yes, so one of the things that I would say most dentists don't have is have the clarity. And what I mean by that is to be very clear what's important to you, where you should focus, so that would dictate your action. Um, people get people come talk to me, they burn out, and they doing 20 things that maybe only five of them are important. We were talking earlier about family, right? And your values, whatever your values is. Like when with my lawsuit, it was, the integrity, that's important to me, right? Um, be real clear in what's most important to you and design your day and your life based on those values.
Hmm.
Because once you do that, it's very easy to say no to things that are not in alignment.
Yes.
It's easy to cut out of your life the people, the relationship, or things that you maybe should not be involved in. Because you're nice. We're just nice people. We want to do 20 things to help the community and
Yes.
help the extended family and all that. Because a lot of people come to me, a lot of people make comment, hey Emily, you're high energy and you're happy. And I said, yeah, but it's because I kind of designed my life that way, right? If this is my goal to get the kids through college, you know, and everybody get to where they're supposed to go, I should be happy. But that's have been my the goals that I've been working to, and now I attain my goal, right? If it's my exit strategy to grow this business, this consulting business, and now all of a sudden I'm getting into the investment business, right? And like I told you earlier, it seems like this investment business, everything that I've learned is preparing me for this, to deal with these kind of relationship. Everything is in alignment with my values. And I think that's how I can be happy. That's how I can, you know, hold up my energy, because when things are not in alignment, when you're doing things that you don't like, it kill your energy. It makes you tired. It makes you stress out. People, uh, what's the term? Like they don't want Mondays, right? Like they don't want to go to work on Monday. I actually don't understand. You just relax on the weekend, you be with your family. Why can't you show up on Monday? And if they say, well, because I have to deal with XYZ, my question would be, well, why can't you design it so you don't have to deal with it? Right? So so my thought is to have clarity, to know what's most important to you, and to pursue that. Because you're going to be so much happier, and you're going to have so much better health, and you're going to be a joy to be around with.
Wow. Well, Dr. Emily, thank you so much for joining us today. If somebody wanted to
You're
get in
welcome.
contact with you, a dentist wanted to, hire you for your services, well, how would they do that?
Yes, they can go to coachroi.com. It's a page. It has a little video of me talking about how dentists should be successful, what dentists should be striving for. And there's a short questionnaire. It asks you, are there certain challenges that you're going through? And we can jump on a call. There's no cost to that. Jump on a call, get to know each other. I tell people all the time that I want to get rid of whiners, right? And then they laugh at me and they say, good luck, right? But I really think it's possible.
Okay. Hey,
Right? Because,
that's
because, because,
optimism.
because here's the thing. If you have things under your control, right? Most of the time, because you design your life and you design your activity that way, I would, I think you're gonna complain less. There will be less whining.
Indeed.
Eh, Yes. So just get things under control, and but make sure that you grow your capacity and your knowledge so you can control more things than wherever you are right now.
You
So you
must.
can say you're in control, invest in
Yes.
yourself.
Yes. Yes, we must be clear, right?
Yes,
Clarity. Oh my God.
yes, yes.
Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, Dr. Emily. We appreciate you
You're
coming
welcome.
in and sharing your knowledge. And at some point, you're gonna have to come back and continue this conversation. Would you be would you be inclined to do so?
Oh, I would love to do that. And
Oh,
if people have questions for me, they can also go visit my regular website, which is dremilyletran.com, DREMILYLETRAN.com. And the coach ROI is just the word coach, COACHROI.com. And stay in touch. A lot of time people reach out to me because they see me commenting in the different Facebook groups. And then the very first thing they always say is, I've been following your comments. And my answer to them is always, congratulations for taking action. You know, just calling me and asking me a question, that's taking action,
that is. That
right?
is.
Yes.
Instead of reacting, right?
Yes, yes.
I love it, love it. Thank you again.
The Wealthy Dentist podcast is built on connections, opportunities, and meaningful conversations that help jumpstart careers and boost the ROI on your business. Is there a topic you're passionate about or someone in the dental community who should share their story with us? We want to hear from you. Email your suggestions to the Wealthy Dentist Podcast at gmail.com, and let's create content that informs, inspires, and uplifts the dental world. Your ideas could spark our next big conversation. Let's make it happen. I'm Ward Powell, your host at the Wealthy Dentist Podcast, thanking you for being a part of our journey.